Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Ozcast.
It can be lonely at the top. We all know what it's like to lead and own a business and wanting to scale, but finding yourself at a glass ceiling. That is where the power of collaboration and connection comes in. Hi, I'm Natasha Milani. I'm an expert at helping businesses and business owners harness the power of collaboration to connect, scale and grow. I am passionate about collaboration. I believe that no one executes alone. We all do better when we do it together. Welcome to this Power of Collaboration podcast. It's wonderful to have you here. I hope you get the inspiration and information you need to harness the power of collaboration to break through your glass ceilings. Today, we're talking to Nic Tolley from Exiis. Welcome, Nic.
Thanks for having me, Tash.
It's lovely to have you here. Nic's a very good friend of mine and one of the member companies from SA Leaders. And you've built a really interesting and successful business, Nic, in the industrial services industry. So let's just start with some background on who you are and an insight into Exiis.
I suppose my background is construction and property industries. Worked in that for probably 15, 20 years. It ended up leaning into the property space with a local Adelaide business, and I was made redundant in about 2011. Learned a lot over the journey about how to make things happen. Construction sites and property projects are notorious for strict deadlines and very high expectations. So upon being made redundant, set out to find something to replace my income and put some food back on the table. I had in the back of my mind to buy a business, been looking for some years, but never really had a need to get a business, and that was the push I guess I needed. So I took 5 or 6 months off. It wasn't a strict amount of time. It was a sort of a forced period of time from, I think it was May 2011, set about to locate a business, or source and locate a business. I reckon we spent the first 2 or 3 months just looking at everything that came up. We would have looked at 200 businesses within the first couple of months. Over the next couple of months, we sort of whittled it down, getting to DD, I suppose, on maybe 30 or 40 businesses, getting it down to another sort of 10 or 12 at a reasonable level. Then we narrowed it right down to 4 businesses. And ultimately, the one we chose, I took some really good advice from our accountants, who were very supportive in the whole process, and we ended up landing on this one, which suited a lot of my skills very well, as opposed to some of the others which might have been more interesting to some people, but just didn't suit what I could do. So we mortgaged the house and had a go.
So we'll talk a bit more about what Exiis does in a minute, but I love the fact that there's adversity brought an opportunity and you made the most of it. And I think there's a really interesting lesson around your process, around exploring where you were going to. As you said, you mortgaged the house, so you took a bit of risk and put everything that you had on the line. And you talked about the fact that you started searching across a number of different businesses and industries, I imagine, and went through that due diligence process. So I'm going to ask you a little bit more about what some of those things that you were looking at when you whittled down through that process. But just quickly, what is Exiis? What do you do day to day?
The fundamentals of Exiis are to clean what is either really dirty or what no one else wants to clean. And fortunately, off the back of that, we've developed some great relationships with clients, and that's led to opening up a huge number of other business streams, sort of leaning into property maintenance.
Okay, great. So give us an example of something that no one wants to clean, Nic.
Our bread and butter, if you like, is kitchen exhaust system cleaning. And to clean a kitchen exhaust, it typically would involve a team of 2 guys running around at 2 o'clock in the middle of the night, cleaning grease out of a piece of ductwork that's above a ceiling in a restaurant somewhere in the CBD or it might be at Sejuna.
Right, so we're talking really grimy stuff and...
Yeah, good stuff. It's great.
And I, correct me if I'm wrong, but like stadiums and all the big sort of icons that people use all the time.
Yeah, so kitchen exhausts are everywhere. So restaurants all around the place. We've got the sporting stadiums like Adelaide Oval. They've developed a fantastic business where they not only service their own events, they outsource, so their kitchens are running flat out pretty well 24/7. So that's been a very good relationship that we've developed.
Fantastic. So going back to, as you were assessing opportunities, you said you started with a wide net of about 200 businesses, filtered it down, went through that due diligence process, whittled it down to 4. What were you looking for back then? What eliminated some and what caught your eye with others?
Oh, there's some pretty basic limitations. One was financials. So we obviously needed to replace a salary. So that was a pretty basic fundamental. You need to generate amount of income. I understood how much equity I was able to put into the deal, and that eliminated a large number of businesses as well. I was very keen on finding something that either had an interest in or aligned very well with my skills. And there wasn't really a lot around. So there's plenty of fantastic businesses out there which might suit other people and their skills, but it was actually fairly limited what would either interest and or suit me, with the financial limitations that I'd put on it. So some great businesses out there which we saw come and go, which might have been great, just wouldn't have suited us. So size-wise, number of staff, locations of office, capital investment was probably the biggest one. There's many businesses out there which we just couldn't afford. So we've picked one which we knew had an opportunity to develop into something far bigger. So some of the businesses we looked at were quite constrained in the amount they could grow, whereas others were an open opportunity, which is why we chose Exiis.
And I think it's a really unique formula that's come together and bode you well, and you've grown the business nationally, which is, congratulations on the success you've achieved. And including you started with about 6 people and now at 170 people.
Yep.
That takes some good leadership skills. Just share with us, what's your leadership style, Nic?
I suppose it was an event that happened probably 7 or 8 years ago with some friends, and we were talking about how many phone calls that we had in a day. And I guess around the group, the other guys had sort of 20 or 30 phone calls a day respectively, and mine was 180. And I think that was a bit of a light bulb moment they talk about, where I realised I couldn't do everything. And I wasn't doing everything, that was the problem. So at that moment I realised that I needed to reinvest more time and obviously a lot more money into building and developing a team of very skilled, the best people I could find, which is exactly what's happened.
What comes with that also is the culture of the organisation. So you said you've put the best people together, leading by example. What kind of culture did you aspire to and have you developed within the business?
Look, I just like it to be a place that people would like to come to work to. It's as simple as that. And we've got some very good retention in all parts of the business, which I'm very proud of, to be honest.
Yeah, that alone, talking to businesses, finding people, retaining people, managing people, skilling people is probably the number one, and all derivatives of that people challenge. And you seem to have managed within an industry that is, as you said, no one really wants to do it. You've managed to retain people, grow. In our brief chat before we came in today, you said in the last 2 months you've recruited about 60 people, which is incredible in this current environment we're in. Maybe just 1 or 2 insights into what you've put in terms of maybe systems and processes, or that cultural piece that makes you an employer of choice.
Job security is a big one for a lot of our staff. They come from industries or other jobs where there might not have been the security or opportunities to grow. We offer full progression. We set out very clearly how people can come into the business as a trainee technician and work their way up to effectively general manager. So by way of example, our national operations manager started as a technician 7 years ago. So we offer a full career path for our employees, which I think's been a big positive. In terms of the management team in the business, as the business has grown, it's given individuals the opportunity to grow up with the business as well. So someone who might have started 5 years ago has every opportunity to go up to manage a division of the business or a state or region or implement a new system or whatever it might be, or run our own team.
The lesson from that is that, to retain people and to build a team, they're the types of opportunities, you need to offer. So thank you for sharing that. One of the questions I do like checking in with and asking around is sort of how, as you've grown the business, that strategy piece in terms of formally developing a strategy, organic growth. I know you mentioned earlier that you've put in a board, an advisory board that guides you with your strategic decisions. What does strategy look like, or what does the formal planning around the growth of the business look like for Exiis?
So the business has grown roughly 20% per year since 2012 when we took it over. Most of that growth has been, using the word organic. It's just through effort of going out talking to clients. It got to a point in about 2015 or 2016 where we realised that we're kind of big in Adelaide, but a lot of the clients we wanted to touch would only deal with people that were national. So it was that point where the business made a decision to open an office in Brisbane with the purpose of appealing more to national client base. We had some limited success with that, and in 2017-18 we invested a huge amount of time talking with alternative clients or other national clients to see what opportunities might be for other national contracts, and eventually one of those came off, and off the back of that we've managed to open up offices in all states bar Tasmania, off the back of a relationship with Grilled Hamburgers.
Great story, and I guess that this topic of this podcast is the power of collaboration. That's a great segue into collaboration. So that collaboration with a customer, a client, national client, led to your significant growth in the business.
Yeah, so it was a part of our strategy was to get a national business, and the confidence that Grilled Healthy Burgers had in our business enabled us to open nationally. So many thanks to them for putting their faith in us, because it was a big leap, and we opened up 4 offices in the week that COVID hit Australia. So, and their business managed to continue through the last 2 or 3 years. And we've managed to continue well off the back of that.
And just on COVID, what has COVID done to the industry and your business in terms of, I guess it's opened a lot of opportunities, but would have been challenges at the same time?
Yeah, so initially we lost roughly 40% of our business. So roughly 40% disappeared overnight with all the hospitality and restaurants and sporting facilities and the like all closing up. There was concern over people wouldn't be able to afford paying their bills, so the business really took a very large hit. That sort of drifted on for a few months, and then gradually it sort of started opening up again, and people realised that people still had to eat and still had to go out and still had to do things and get things done, and the business gradually picked up over the next sort of 12 months, and then the last 6 months it's been a pretty rapid growth with the COVID response, which has been a fairly large part of our more recent growth as well.
Yeah, I'm guessing that that side of the business would have been new and an opportunity there in that terms of that COVID cleaning, I guess, became a thing.
Yeah, well, we had a reputation for a long time for high quality sanitisation cleans, working with hospitals and medical facilities around the state and some interstate. So the techniques that we developed in servicing older clients or existing clients was exactly the same as the COVID cleaning work that we do. So for us to shift into COVID cleans was actually what we did anyway. It was just a lot more of it. So we really struggled early on getting staff. So back on the question around what was the effect on the business with lack of interstate and international visitors, we really struggled to get staff. We were getting almost no job applications at all. We were lucky to get 5 a month, whereas 3 years ago we were getting maybe 50, 100 a month. That's bounced back in the last 6 weeks. We're now getting reasonable numbers applying for jobs again, which has enabled us to keep up with the demand for getting work done.
It's interesting. An industry that we sort of started by talking about no one wanted to do is now something that we really need and everyone needs and everyone is a part of, as we've seen this shift responding to COVID. Going back to collaboration, so you gave us a great example of your collaboration with a client, Grilled, that took you national. Have you got any other examples of collaboration?
I suppose there's two. One, I suppose, is directly with my own staff. We've got some unbelievable people that work for the business who clearly have the same vision across the board, which is, without that alignment, across the business, there's no way we would have been able to grow to the extent that we've grown. So, collaboration with our staff has been the number one thing that's enabled the business to do what it's done. Secondly to that, I've been fortunate enough to been exposed to a number of different business groups, SA Leaders being one of them, and I've learnt to be pretty good at asking questions, or when I need help, understanding who to ask and what to ask, and then quite good at filtering out when I get a wrong answer. Sometimes people would do their best to help and think they're helping, but being able to sift through that to make sure you get the right answer is a real trick.
I think you are a very instinctive leader, and that vulnerability piece when you know even just to ask the question in the first place, I think that's critical, because if you don't ask, you don't get the information. Yeah,
look up Gestalt protocol. It's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that it? We're not going to get any more?
Just look it up.
Okay. There's something for everyone to search.
I'm definitely not the best person to explain it, but it's the concept is that if I ask you a question, if you haven't experienced that or don't have a direct experience with solving that question or an answer for that, don't bother. So, if you go and ask your mum or dad about the problem you've got in your business, they'll tell you some wonderful ideas, but they don't know your business. That's probably a bad example about your parents, but don't ask someone that has no experience in what you do and expect a good answer.
I love that. That's why with SA Leaders we have all our fantastic industry experts who are the experts in their particular area of expertise. But that's actually makes perfect sense to me. I wanted to pick up on something else you talked about, collaboration. I don't think anyone has answered the question that I've asked about collaboration and talked about collaboration with staff. We talk about culture, we talk about team building, but collaboration with staff, I just think that's a penny drop. That's very powerful. And you talked about you've offered that career pathway. Can you talk more about collaboration with staff? Because I think that's instinctive in you as a leader, and you've built that in the organisation. Yeah,
okay, so it's probably goes further than collaboration with staff. I suppose it's the collaboration with the very close business group. So Isabel and I own the business, and we're the ones that saw it from the very start, and we built a really strong team around us, and we continue to communicate really closely with everybody in that team. So, for example, my senior management team, operations and general managers, we would talk on the phone 2 or 3 times a day, if not more. So it's a very open line of communication, which is effectively a no surprise situation. You don't want surprises with people in those types of roles. So I collaborate very directly with those guys on day-to-day issues, and I collaborate very closely with Isabel, my wife. She's still very involved in the business and understands very clearly how it all works, but has the ability to look at it from a very different angle from someone that's right inside the business. And then externally from that, we've got some very good financial advisors who we communicate with very, very regularly and form our board as well. So making sure you've got the right people to collaborate with, and then talking very closely with them, keeping everybody up to date with things pretty well as they happen. If you leave things too long, people get lost and people miss out. So close communication has probably been the key to building the strength in understanding each other.
And isn't it interesting, because communication is one of those basic fundamentals, yet get it wrong and it has big impact.
Yeah, get it wrong or don't do it. You just got to communicate.
Communication, let's leave that as the final point for everyone to ponder as they think about how they're communicating with their key people and stakeholders and clients in their own business. Thank you, Nic. I just think that was very insightful. There's a couple of nuggets there for those listening, and I think what you've built in that business to be commended on. So thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Tash. Been fun.
At SA Leaders, we're all about collaboration and community. If you're curious to know more about how we help businesses and leaders just like you to scale and grow beyond the glass ceilings, then visit our website at www.saleaders.com.au. And please don't forget to subscribe, share this podcast with your network, and write a review if you really enjoyed it. This has been an Audiosity production. I'm Natasha Milani. I look forward to chatting with you next time. Happy connecting.
Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.